The jury has the case. A verdict will most likely be coming soon. And I believe Derek Chauvin will be acquitted. There's many reasons why I think Derek Chauvin will be acquitted. Here are 13. Amadou Diallo, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Ousmane Zongo, Philando Castile, Sean Bell, Tamir Rice, Oscar Grant, Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Duncan Lemp, Daniel Shaver, Michael Brown. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. It's a situation that at one point might be depressing. At this point, I'm not even cautious optimism has left. And in the scope of things, even cautious optimism doesn't really mean much. So let me explain what I mean. A conviction of Derek Chauvin, as I talked about in the video, what does that change? Because if you know the names I've just stated, you realize that in a couple of cases, people were actually convicted. I mean, hey, let's look. A name I didn't mention, Botham Jean. She was actually convicted. Amber Geiger's going up for appeal, but she was convicted. But then even after the few convictions that have happened, the deaths continue. The brutality continues. The corruption continues. The mass incarceration continues. Clearly, a conviction isn't going to solve the problem. But let's take a quick look at why I believe these past cases I mentioned show. Amadou Diallo, 41 shots. This is a man who was doing nothing. He was coming home from work. It was early in the morning, and 4 plainclothes police officers jump out the car, street crimes unit. They felt they owned the night. They acted like they owned the night. And when he, thinking he was being robbed, started to hand over his wallet, they said they thought his wallet was a gun. They thought his wallet was a gun, and they thought he was shooting at them. So not only did they mistake a wallet for a gun, somehow they saw muzzle flash from the wallet. They fired 41 shots at him. 41 shots. Hit him 19 times. They got arrested. They went to trial. They were acquitted. Eric Garner. We watched it on video. We watched him get choked to death on video. And that's very similar to this case because we watched it on video. We heard Eric Garner say repeatedly he can't breathe. George Floyd. We heard George Floyd say the same thing. We saw people say, oh no, it's because he was obese. That's why he died. It had nothing to do with the fact that an officer was on top of him choking him. It was, he was obese. Michael Brown. Now, people will look at the Michael Brown case and there are individuals say, oh, hands up, don't shoot was a myth. Why was it a myth? Because, well, okay, so the cop said, oh, no, it's not what happened. Oh, yeah, the cop's actually going to tell the truth. But, okay. Oh, no, but the Justice Department, Obama and Eric Holder's Justice Department. Oh, so now Obama's trustworthy. Now Obama's not a lying scumbag for this case. All the other stuff he did, yeah, he was a lying scumbag, deep state, everything. Now Obama can be trusted. What about Eric Holder? What about Eric Holder's work before he was the Attorney General? You know, he was supposed to investigate police shootings. You know, even when there were inconsistencies in police statements, even when the boards had said, hey, this case looks bad, he refused to prosecute. That's Eric Holder. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about Dorian Johnson, the witness, the main witness, saying that Michael Brown was shot while he was at the vehicle. The cop claimed the gun went off, but he didn't shoot him till he got out of the vehicle and he was charged. But Dorian Johnson, from the beginning, said Michael Brown was shot at close range, and the autopsy proved him right. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about how he told the truth from the beginning. That's what they said. There was no evidence he was lying. His story remained consistent from the very beginning. But the other people's stories changed. Philando Castile. Wow. Like, and just going through these cases should just make you realize, like, and I don't want to say the futility. It feels like the futility, but just realize that, because like I saw somebody say something today about, we need to do right by George Floyd. Like, George Floyd's dead. This doesn't do anything for him. If we want to do something, we have to stop this from happening. Convicting cops clearly, and even put them on trial, clearly has not been a deterrent, because like Kim Potter is next up. But Philando Castile, legal gun owner, supposed to be just a traffic stop, ends with his death. Nothing. No accountability. Sean Bell, the night before his wedding. Killed by cops the night before his wedding. Tamir Rice, 12-year-old. Now, you could look at Adam Toledo and people are like, oh, well, he was a little gangbanger. They will make excuses. Tamir Rice had a toy gun. Oh, well, yeah, he shouldn't be playing with the gun. He shouldn't be playing. What? Kids have been playing with toy guns from forever. Since guns. But they will make excuses. No accountability again for Tamir Rice. 12-year-old cop just jumped out, boom, fired. No hesitation. Oscar Grant. Now, Oscar Grant, and it's amazing how we're describing shootings and situations that are eerily reminiscent, that are repeating themselves, like, again. So, Oscar Grant. Apparently, Kim Potter isn't the only cop that mistakes her gun for a taser. And there was video of that. Oh, yeah, there's video of, yeah, you're right. There's video of Kim Potter, too. Wow. Oops. I thought I was tasing him. Okay, but you're going to say, wait a minute. The cop in the Oscar Grant, he was sentenced. And you'll probably say, wait a minute, as I remember, the cop in Usmani Zongo case was sentenced as well. The cop in Oscar Grant's case was convicted of negligent manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, served 11 months of a 2-year sentence. Usmani Zongo, who was just in a warehouse working, and the cop originally said he was running at him. Then why were the bullet holes in his back? But that cop got convicted too, okay? Hey, yeah, he got convicted, so calm down. And he didn't do a day in jail. Probation for killing an unarmed, innocent man. Probation. Sandra Bland. It's just hands up. Like, nobody knows what happened. She was alive when she came in. Like, there's the people who had custody and control of her are the people who also had all access to any evidence. Breonna Taylor. A lot of lies told, but Even now, though we realize the lies have been told, even though her boyfriend was falsely charged and they had to drop the charges against him, it's not going to bring Brianna back. Which brings me to something Chris Cuomo said. Chris Cuomo says, wait a minute. These things are happening and there are people who are acting like, oh, they're making excuses. They're blaming the victims. They're dredging up all kinds of stuff, trying to justify why these people have died at the hands of police. But he said something. He said, if this starts happening to white kids, if white kids start getting killed by police, then things will change. Really? Are you sure? No. And that's the part that should really wake you up. You see, I like how Sonny Johnson put it. She talked about black people being the canary in the coal mine. So yes, I definitely believe that. I mean, we know for a fact that racial bias and bigotry was a huge part of policing and just government, period, in this country. Whether or not we've gotten past racial prejudice and bigotry, whether or not we've gotten past it, we are getting beyond it. And let me say what I mean by beyond it. It's not that people are now realizing how stupid that is and judging people based just on, that's ridiculous. No, it's that law enforcement has now just become so power hungry that they're like, wait a minute, we don't just have to settle for oppressing black people. We don't just have to brutalize minorities. We have the power to do this to anyone. We can do anything and get away with it. So no, Chris Cuomo's wrong. And you know how I know Chris Cuomo's wrong? Duncan Lemp. Duncan Lemp. And it's a name that a lot of people don't know. People aren't talking about it. And so it's not that they don't value his life because he's white. It's because it changes the narrative. It's because it changes the narrative. It changes the narrative instead of saying, oh, yes, we need bias training and racial sensitivity training, to actually having to deal with the fact that the police are too powerful. And how did they get so powerful? Because the same politicians, the Maxine Waters, who are standing in the street saying, yes, if the verdict isn't guilty, we need to do something. Wow. Why don't you do something? You're one of the 535 most powerful people in the country. In fact, it's 545. You're one of the 545 most powerful people in the country. Stop fronting. If you wanted to do something, you could. You're out there trying to agitate people and pretend you're on their side. It doesn't start with Duncan Lemp. Because Duncan Lemp was killed and no knock warrant. Yep. And if we realize that, wait a minute, the cops are doing this to white people, you realize just how bad the situation is. And the fact that there's still no accountability. It's almost as if they're untouchable. It's almost as if the government is just protecting itself. It's almost as if the government refuses to rein in its own power. But that's not all. Daniel Shaver. That we actually watched on video. We actually watched a man crying, scared. I mean, and definitely no pun intended, but scared to death. He wasn't scared to death, he was killed. But he was scared of death. He was scared that he was about to die. And unfortunately, he was right. This is the cop that had an engraving on his gun saying, "You're fucked." He had a bloodthirst, and it showed because that's how he behaved. Watch this man crying, crawling on the ground, trying to comply with the officer's commands, and was murdered anyway. And then you may say, wait a minute, when you when you started this, you said you had 13 reasons, but you mentioned Michael Brown twice. Oh, you probably thought that was an accident. Wasn't an accident. And although I said the name Michael Brown twice, I'm not talking about the same Michael Brown. You see, almost everyone knows about Michael Brown, who was killed walking in the street in Ferguson, Missouri. Not as many people know. People in Missouri know. But not as many know about a Michael Brown who had died about 10, 11 years earlier in Missouri. This Michael Brown was white. This Michael Brown was the passenger in the vehicle. He and the driver of the vehicle, Tyler Teasley, were shot and killed by police. In the vehicle, they were unarmed. Black people have been the canary in the coal mine. And the poison's out. The poison's past the coal mine now. People have to wake up. People have to realize, no. Unlike what Chris Cuomo has alleged, that once white kids start dying, things will change. No, that's not the case. White people are already being murdered by cops. Black people have been being murdered by cops. And nothing's happening. They are not being held accountable. Your politicians are not coming to help you. Your politicians are not trying to help you. Your politicians are trying to distract you from the true issue. The fact that they keep giving more power and more authority over our lives to these police, who in turn are starting to feel the power, starting to enjoy it, starting to realize that with this much power, they answer to no one. And it's looking like they're right. That's why I believe Derek Chauvin will be acquitted. And even if he isn't, we've already seen things aren't changing anytime soon. Cops aren't deterred. Cops aren't feeling on edge, despite what some back the blue bootlickers will allege. Oh, cops can't even do their jobs. Well, cops may not be doing their jobs, but they're certainly able to. And they're certainly not shy about cracking skulls and violating people's rights. They're certainly not shy about brutalizing people and even in some cases killing people. They're not shy about doing that. What's it going to take? It's going to take more than people dying. It's going to take people waking up. That's what we're going to have to do. We have to wake up and realize these politicians are part of the problem. They're the ones sending these cops out there. They're the ones giving these cops all this power. And these politicians that are right now pretending to care and pretending to be in solidarity with people hoping that Derek Chauvin gets convicted are also trying to pass new gun laws. How do you think these gun laws are going to be enforced? Who do you think is going to enforce these gun laws? What kind of power do these additional gun laws give the police? To suddenly, I fear for my safety. Same government that now also wants to, even after seeing no-knock warrants result in innocent people getting killed, they want to do door-to-door warrants. Door-to-door confiscation. That's what they want. They want to just be able to just come to your house and take your guns. Who's the problem? Well, I'll tell you who's not the solution. As always, thank you for checking out the episode. Give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. If you don't like what I said, if you disagree with what I said, give me a thumbs down. But don't just give me a thumbs down and run away. If you give me a thumbs down, comment below. Comment below why, so I can address it either in the comment section or in a future video. And I'll see you next time.